We're back. Okay, everybody. Huh? I don't know either. But so we didn't get to show the movie, but in the main thing that I wanted you all to see in that video was that the very center of this whole wheel of samsara, the whole thing that drives everything around and around and around because you'll see the positive deeds and the negative deeds and the outcome of the positive deeds and the outcome of the negative deeds and lifetime after lifetime and the going up and the coming back down and around and around and around. And at the very center of that whole wheel are the three poisons of ignorance, attachment, and anger that's driving that whole wheel. And so that's why we're spending so much time talking about, can we notice when any one of those start to arise? Because if we are able to apply antidotes and just try to change our way of being with those poisons, we are now creating the pathway of our own liberation. And that's what's so key to the whole piece. And then knowing that the reason I wanted to talk a little bit more about ignorance is because the fact that anger and attachment arise out of them, out of ignorance, out of the mouth of the pig. And so okay, we can define ignorance, but how does it show up in a Buddhist context? Because the opposite of ignorance is wisdom. We apply the antidotes of wisdom, and it's very hard to be aware of our own ignorance. However, in this instance, what we're talking about is, and Robert Thurman has, if you ever look him up on YouTube, he has a lot of interesting things to say about it. So, as Buddhists, we are studying the nature of reality. And ignorance is, he gave some examples of just like really believing in your view that this is correct. I see it this way. I'm attached to it this way. I get angry when it doesn't go my way. And believing that what you see is its own absolute way. And that the opposite of that, and what he's saying Buddha discovered way before Einstein, is relativity. That everything is relative. Everything is relative. And that as we start to break through our own ignorance, it's by applying relativity to it. So if we're very attached to an idea, like how wonderful it is that the monks are coming, and see that that's also relative. And why do you have that, experience? Why are you uplifted and enjoying that and celebrating that? What causes created that in your mind versus somebody else? Then it can start to help us loosen up the anger, the attachment, and all of those things. And so, though it's I think, a trickier one to get our hands around, because we don't see it necessarily just start to arise. It's pervading a lot of our life. But we can start to look at, where are we really wedded to something? And can we see it from a different perspective? This is what's wonderful about literature and about movies, because you do get to see something from a completely different perspective. If you try to write something from a very different point of view, it's really interesting. So we're trying to like just start to loosen that that grip of ignorance, which will then loosen the other poisons and start to shift this whole endless cycle that we're on. So that's why I've been spending so much time on the three poisons. We can get into a lot of other lists, but really so much of it comes down to those things, and trying to focus on that. Yeah. What we study too is, how do things arise? They arise not independently. So take anything in your life that's giving you happiness or misery, and just look at how it arises. And as I was talking about last week, for me, what's really helpful when trying to deal with a negative mind state is to apply self-compassion first. So I'll give you an example. Like, I was in a situation, this is years ago, where I noticed I was feeling really jealous and left out, that I wanted to do something that these other people were going to do, and I wasn't going to be involved in it. I can't remember why, but I was very jealous, and I'd hated that feeling. So I just tried to not feel it, and that did not work. That was like not successful, but I tried all day, like, that's ridiculous. Don't be jealous. Da, da, da. And nothing worked. And then I was so exhausted, actually, by the end of the day from trying not to feel that way. And then I just had more compassion for myself. Like I looked at that part of myself that was jealous as like a little kid. And I said, of course you feel left out. And as soon as I did that, everything relaxed. And then I could have this much more expansive rejoicing in other people's good fortune. So, that's what studying our minds is like. What works? What works? Is arguing with it going to work? Then great, argue with it. But something you have to figure out what are the right antidotes for you that actually start to shift things. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Anybody have anything to say? Questions, thoughts, comments? We'll watch it. Well, let's just try for the first few minutes of it. We're determined here. Okay. So Linda, I'll give you the sign when to cut.
Action when something happens with friends or family or work. The chances are it's not you. It's the world you were born into. A world whose terms and conditions you never signed up to. But now that you're here, it helps to have a guide to the terrain and how to escape it. And that's exactly what this Tibetan Buddhist mandala, showing the wheel of life, is designed to give you. To look at this image is to look in the mirror, to see yourself and how and why you suffer the way you do. It's the same for everyone. We understand less than we'd like to admit. We're pig ignorant if we're being uncharitable. Our anger and our fear build so fast, they can take us by surprise, whipping and snapping like a snake. And we get proud like a rooster of people and things in the world. We become hopelessly attached to them. Each of these habits feeds off the others, like three animals biting one another's tails. Bad news all round, it seems. But actually, it's not. This mandala shows us that we live in the best of all possible worlds. In higher realms, the gods are distracted with pleasure. Those in the lower realms are overcome with pain. Our lives contain just the right balance of both to help us see the bigger picture. That all of this, pleasure and pain, the cycle of birth, death and rebirth, is forever changing and turning, and that escape is possible. The Buddha has done it. He is free of the cycle. And through his teachings, he shows us how we can do the same. It's a truth and a destination that can never be captured in words. Instead, the mandala pictures it as a far-off moon, and the Buddha points the way.
Okay. So that's the introduction. And then the rest, I think you'll probably see next week. But that's the introduction to the wheel, and I thought it was kind of clever. So thanks for persevering, and we'll talk about the rest next week. So let's take a minute to just think about all the merit we created by being patient, by coming here on a Monday night, listening to each other, talking, thinking about this topic, and then dedicating this energy that we've created so that we might be able to escape this samsaric wheel and help all others do the same. And then we're going to read Shantideva's prayer as a way to kind of amplify our dedication.
It's page 246 in the Gold Prayer Book for those of you here in the Kadampa. May all beings everywhere, plagued by
plagued
sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may these never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, or as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the misery of the world.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for your patience tonight. Perseverance, one of the 6 perfections, if I'm not mistaken, right? All right. Good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, State.